guys, welcome to the Macro Chat live show. I'm so happy you're here, and I've already seen the chat going. I got my laptop over here, so I have to say before anything else, hi Becky, Scott, how you doing? Jan's here, and Brian, how are you doing? He's a newbie to the show. So welcome you guys. Becky was here chatting with me in the very beginning. I'm so excited to have you guys here. This is what makes my day. And AD, he's behind the scenes running the show. It makes his day too. We have such a blast with you guys. And we're very, very happy that you're here with us. I want to let you guys know that we are 30 seconds to a minute delay, depending on where you're at. So as you're chatting, I will be paying attention to you, but I might be a little delayed when I'm answering questions or anything like that. This show is for all of you that like close-up photography, macro photography, and micro photography. And it is a live show, so things will happen. Dogs will bark, kids will yell. It's a lot of fun, but we all love the getting up close and seeing our subjects. So I'm super excited. We have some great shots from Brian, and we have one from Catherine, and Catherine did say that she couldn't make it to the show today, so she will watch the replay. So hi, Catherine. So before we really get diving into everything, let's go ahead. Oh, AD, I never checked with you. Did you go ahead and grab my promo the video I did? Okay, he's so on it. So we're gonna do the promo real quick.
The Macro Chat Live Show is brought to you by SJP's membership program, a membership program for macro and landscape photographers. The membership program will work on your journey. We have monthly challenges, live calls, bonuses, and live workshops for you to attend. To see more details, head on to membership.sullivanjphotography.com. Check out our 14-day free trial.
So I was reading AD. Becky says she's enjoying the presets. Awesome. I'm so excited for you. He's all woohoo. So Becky had won our Christmas presents. She is she's here and always sends images to us. And I'm really grateful. AD is really grateful to all of you guys that do that. And I did say in the last show that I would tell the story of how I started this show. I won't do it all the time, but since it's a new year and there will be newbies. Oh, by the way, this show is every other Thursday at 5 o'clock. So tune in. I just saw it pop up. So I did want to let you guys know quickly about the show. So what happened was I love macro photography, and I wanted to find a really cool show, whether it was live or not live, but geared into us people that really like the close-up photography. And unfortunately, I could not find anything. And so I said to myself, okay, Janice, do you want to step out of the comfort zone? This is what I practice and preach with members that I have in my membership program and mentorship that I have in the Arcanum. So it's like, if I say that, then I should do that. So I decided to step out of the box, and I started this macro show. And I always say that I will keep it going as long as you guys show up and chat with me. If it starts to become crickets, then the show will go down. But you know what? It's been awesome. I enjoy every single time we have this show. There's always something that has inspired me. And today, something that's really inspired, you will hear Brian's information when it comes to the critique. So because it's still a new year, I thought it would be really nice to share some of the latest news on macro photography. I'm also going to share a short video that I did on refraction. So we'll talk about that when it gets closer to the equipment time. And, you know, there's a bunch of stuff that I always love to have planned. But to let you know that I do gear this show for an hour. So I do pay attention to the clock. And most of the time, I'm either an hour or less, unless we have a guest. I do have a guest, which is going to be Jackie Kramer for the month of January. And then each month, I'll have one guest. So this time in January, we've had 3 shows. Most of the time during the month, we'll have 2 shows. So I just wanted to give you guys some heads up on that. And I think what we'll do is let me see what you guys are up to first, because what Janice, no cold. Oh, wait. Oh, yes, no cold. Exactly. Jan remembers. So the last show, I was sick and I had laryngitis and I was just getting my voice back. So that was tough. But yeah, that is so true. I do have my voice. I'm so happy. Oh, and of course, the Amazon gift card. Yes, Amazon is awesome, right, Becky? So cool. It's really nice to see you guys. And any of you guys that are watching, if you guys or come on, just start chatting with us in the chat. That's what this is all about, to talk about what we're up to and a whole bunch of fun of macro photography. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me get it ready, because what I'd like to do is I want to share the 19 best lenses for macro photography. So let me grab that up in 1 second. And okay, here we go. Yes, I have it up. So I did some research because I'm always curious about what people have to say. So this is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a little fun segment. So they say the top 19 best lenses for macro photography. So I found that, thought it would be interesting. And the first one is the Sony 90 millimeter. And I decided to, I'll be having water as I go because I don't want to have that tickle. Even though I'm feeling much better, I'm afraid. So here's the Tamron. And you know what I was going to do for you guys? I'll give you the link down below. I was going to put down the prices for you guys, and I totally just flaked out on that one. But I figured it would be fun just to look at some of them, what they say. So here's a Panasonic macro 30 millimeter. And here is the Canon 100 millimeter EF. Here's the Nikon 2.8 105. And the Olympus Zuiko. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's a Zuiko. Zuiko. AD's trying to get me to say it right. I'm trying. It's a 60 millimeter 2.8. The Sigma 180 APO. Doesn't that look so pretty? I love lenses. Okay, so this is interesting. So remember this, you guys. They say the Canon TSE 50 millimeter f2.8, and it's a tilt shift. But just remember this, because I have something to say about this later, okay? Because I love to research when I'm doing these shows. And IRIX, am I saying that one right? IRIX 150 millimeter 2.8 1:1. Okay, I think we're getting done. Here we go. And I think the Canon TSE 90 millimeter f2.8. And to tell you the truth, I had no idea that Canon had a 90 millimeter macro lens. So that's kind of interesting. Here's a Canon TS 135 f4 macro. So 135. So this is interesting stuff here. This is all new stuff that I did not even know about. Here's a Mica 85 millimeter f2.8. But I want you guys to see something right now. Okay, we're macro people, and macro. Okay, so we do close up here, we do macro, we do micro, which is closer. So macro is 1:1, right? So I want to see if any of you guys are noticing anything that's happening within their specs of the best 2019 macro lenses. And after the end, I'd like you guys to say in the chat if you guys are noticing anything. Okay, so this one is a 90 millimeter Tamron 90 millimeter 2.8 macro VC. Okay. Pentax 100 millimeter 2.8. So something here would give you guys a clue. Let's see. So, okay, here's the Fuji 80 millimeter 2.8. I wish I would have had all the prices. Sorry, guys. And here's a Sony 50 millimeter 1:1. I like to be sneaky here. So here's a Samsung 60 millimeter 2.8. Fuji 60 millimeter 2.4 macro. And the Samyang, I have never heard of this. This Samyang, it's good. AD knows his stuff. It's a 100 millimeter 2.8. Okay, so that is what they have said. So I always say don't believe everything. So we said that, I mean, these are great lenses, so don't get me wrong. I just want you guys to pay attention. It's kind of something that I'm going to talk to you guys about once. Woo, let's get all the way. I'm going to make you dizzy. So the 19 best lenses for macro photography. Has anybody figured out what I was like, what the clue is about the lenses? I'm going to share this right here. So this is the 50 millimeter. So there was other lenses that were like this. This is a Canon TS 50 millimeter 2.8 lens. So I'll give you guys a second to see if you figured out anything about these macro lenses while I take a sip of water. And then I'll tell you guys the super secret. Okay. The super secret is they're not all macro lenses. So I always think it's interesting the way people market this stuff. They say best for macro. What they mean is for close-up. This lens right here is not a macro lens. It is half the size. So 1:1 is the watch, I'll show you here on borrowed lenses. It tells you, this is one thing that I always say to do too. Wait, before I jump into here. So it says here, it's maximum magnification is half. And there's a video right here that tells you what this lens will do. So borrowed lens is an awesome, I love this company. I use them all the time because I always like to rent before I purchase anything. So a lot of those lenses were close up, but they weren't 1:1. So you should really be careful on when you buy things. So here's another one. Here's the best cameras for macro photography. So this was saying, about 1:1. So your subject is the actual size in the sensor. That's what 1:1 is. And that's really officially what the macro photography is. And the other ones is half. It's okay. It's still close up. It's just the wordage. I just want you guys to read things when you're out there. So one of the things that I read about this what gear, photography gear. So I read this in detail. And I thought it was interesting. So the more you learn about the craft, the more you really know. I mean, I don't get too technical with you guys, you know that, but you do get technical after a while, I just don't teach technical. But what was interesting that they were saying that what's a good camera, I was going through all of the cameras. I won't go through like what I did with the lenses. But one of the things they were saying is like awesome because it's good to have a cropped factor actual camera. And I thought to myself, what are they talking about? Well, because they said in the article, it will get you closer to the subject. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you could just add, the bellows or an extension tube. So I'm like, why in the hell? Because, it's okay if you have a cropped camera, but I love to have my full frame. My full frame gives you more light. I know what I'm getting. But it was just interesting to read this and for them to say, well, you should have this kind of camera. So when you see things like that, don't always believe what you see.
Hey, Janice.
Yes.
Hey, can I jump into your podcast for just a second? Because you just said I'm not like the technical person. So I just turned on my mic for a second. So hello, everybody. Okay. So I get to watch the show from this side. I just want to mention that, yeah, they're using the nomenclature macro as in a small lens rather than meaning that it's a lens for macro photography, which is interesting. And then Janice is right. As far as a cropped sensor goes, when you use a cropped sensor, you're literally using a smaller sensor, meaning that your focal length is amplified by whatever that crop sensor difference is. 1.6 is quite common. So if you have a 70 millimeter lens and then you multiply that times 1.6, it means you get to see it closer, but the resolution in the actual file is less. So using a full frame, Janice is right. You get more light and you can still crop it so that you can do that sort of thing. I just wanted to jump in and say that because, that's the technical side. And I'm going to go back to drinking my water and being quiet now.
I love it when you jump in. See, you guys get 2 for 1. Isn't that awesome? No, but it's true. It's true. And then they're saying here, true macro photography 1-to-1. But they do say in here, if you read down in here, it's something about getting closer and all that stuff. But again, just think that when you want to get closer, definitely just add on some extension tubes and stuff like that. Oh, okay. Here's another one. So, I mean, this is something new. We're photographers. I'm only talk about this really quick. I don't know if any of you guys are out there that are Instagrammers. I'm just getting into it because I got away from Flickr, and I do like to see images, but I kind of scan through them really quickly. It's not like to me, this is not something that I really set time to really look. I'm kind of scanning. Once in a while, I'll stop. But now they're having, Instagram is going to let you post to multiple accounts at the same time. So I thought that was kind of interesting because, if some people have Instagram as personal and some people have it strictly as a business or just an area that you want to share your portfolio and stuff like that. Maybe not even business, you just want to share your work. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That just came up. That's going to be coming up like real soon if it hasn't already. So I thought that was kind of funny. I understand, people, it's a Facebook thing now, and so it's interesting on the marketing side. You're going to probably see a lot of marketing things happening, but it's just something different. And I thought I would share it with you guys. And if you guys have Instagrams and you want to share in the chat, share in the chat, or if you want to, down below, if you want to share in the comment section later on. I love to look at, photography, especially macro and landscape. So I don't mind checking it out, and you should share it with everybody if you're into the Instagram thing. I'm just barely getting into it, to tell you the truth. So, okay, so we can go back to me, AD. Those were some of the fun things for 2019 that I thought was interesting. And, to tell you the truth, when I was going through the things, it's really, that you find so much of everything else to really search for macro photography. It's really hard. So that's why I love this show, because it's different. Let me see. What have you guys been up to? Anything up there? No more comments over there? You guys aren't chatting anymore? It is a chat show. What kind of lens is your favorite? Let me hear about that while I'm getting things ready. So let's see. What time is it? Okay, we're doing really good. Let me get going, and we are going to get on to critique time. This is the fun time. We have 2 awesome images, and I want to thank again Brian and Catherine. And I'm moving my stuff around because when I do critique, I like to use my tablet. So got the tablet ready. We're ready to go. I'm going to put the first one up. So one of the things, I wanted to explain, one other photographer had sent me some information, and I told him that I would let him know on the show. So one of the things I asked for is your goal. So when I mean by goal is, it could be the image itself, like what is the goal for that actual image on what you're trying to achieve within that one image, or it could be a goal that you are trying to, say, work on as a portfolio or an actual theme, something that you are shooting for. So that's what I mean by goals, because if I don't know what you want out of that photograph, I won't take it on the show. except for what Catherine says. So we will, when you hear Catherine's information, then you'll understand why I took her image. But what I do ask is a little bit of background, and I love the background information, and it inspires me. Oops, I moved my mic. Sorry, guys. So it inspires me to read your thought process, and the more information I feel it, we all can feel your story. And that's one of the reasons why I ask, because I only take like 2 images, 3 at the most, for this show, because it's more about not just showing a bunch of images for this show. It's more about you taking the time. I guess because we're macro, we're just like kind of mellow. We're mellow. You have to be very patient when it comes to, oh, not yet, AD, because I just realized I did not move all my stuff around. So I have Lightroom right in the middle of my stuff. Now I can see. Okay, so, oh, shoot. Yeah, I told AD to go ahead and move it. So I'm just going to move this over and see if yeah, there we go. So the first image we're going to talk about is Brian's. And though this is not the image, this is what's so nice about Brian. What he did was he gave me his images and he talked about 3 of his days. So this is not the image we're going to critique. This is his process, which is really, really cool. And as you guys know, I read this stuff and I'm hoping that I don't butcher anything. So here's Brian's first day. He says, hi, it was a 3-day process, and this is day 1. So what he did was he found a really good blossom, polished the gravy boat. That was what the blossom is sitting in. Find a place with the most interesting reflections and the right light. Set up the camera and take multiple shots, and then pick the best one and crop. Okay, so now we're going to go to day 2. So let me just share this. Let me just share the next step. Now, this might not be his day 2. I just want you to see his next step. So let's go. Let me make sure I have the right one. Yep. Okay, so here's the next step, but I'm going to tell you day 2. So he says it's time to decide how to adjust the shot. So he has Capture One Sony Pro V12. So it's a software program for Sony. He says this program has some neat bells and whistles. So this was very much a try and try again day. One of the essentials things for my processing is to process in RAW. I can always delete and start over. Okay, so now we're going to go to 3, and I will share his, I'll share his image. So here's the other one. So the third one was fine-tune day for 2 efforts. The luminosity and radial gradient mask played a major part in this shot. He used a Sony Alpha A68 Tamron 90mm 272E macro lens. ISO was 100. He was at f16 and his shutter speed was at 2.5 seconds. He used natural light shot indoors. He says we have glass walls and a big window where the walls are not see-through. Very nice to have those big glass walls. Very cool. So here's he says with his goal. So this is, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So anyways, here's his story. Many years ago, I was taken into an Indian village on the north coast of British Columbia, Canada. I was to be trained to be their village pastor. It was a United Church of Canada program. Before they took me in, I was a lighthouse keeper and a deckhand on the last United Church mission boat, the Thomas Crosby V, which worked on British Columbia's north coast. Their teacher of the old ways saturated my already strong feeling that humans were meant to be stewards, not kings, in our relationship with Mother Earth. I try, which is not to say I always succeed, to show the sacred in my shots. My goal with the question mark is in a small way to help people understand what we are every day losing. I'm not sure that is what my goals are or if it's appropriate for the purpose. It is appropriate, Brian, and is perfect. So he says the attached is so he sent me a video of the voyage of Thomas Crosby V. That's the boat. And so I have that video in my community. So if you guys go to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, which you guys are probably in now or whatever, and then go click on the community tab, and in there I shared that video. It's about 50 minutes long. It is so worth watching. It's very inspirational. And so he says, it's like he says, it's not process. I always mess up this word, proselytizing, but basically he's saying they're not trying to, preach to you. It has nothing to do with that. So anyways, so Brian, what I read out of this is that your goal is to show the sacred parts of the image. So Brian, I emailed Brian and I told him, I said, you know what? There's so much of you and I that are alike, because when I'm interviewed about my macro work, that's one of the first things. As a matter of fact, even my professor had asked, why do you like macro so much? I said, because I want to show people, when I'm doing the nature, I want to show people that these small little areas that we cannot see is part of our earth. And as humans, we should take care of this and don't step on things that you don't understand, because you could be totally crushing, earth. So I love to share this with the world to hopefully inspire people to respect things that we don't see on our earth. So when he wrote this to me, I had to email him back and say, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I feel with macro photography. And I'm sure there's a lot of you guys that feel the same way, because we all love to see the stuff up, our images up close, especially in the nature. I still like to do all my other stuff, so don't get me wrong, but when I'm doing the nature, that is one of the main reasons too. So to really appreciate it, the beauty of it. So here we have is his stamen. And, so we're going to get into what I'm thinking about now, what you're saying. So I do love the way that you have got in close, and we can see the pollen polyps, or the pollen. So that right there to me is life. And that is something that makes life. So for you to really get in detail and show that's really, really cool. And if you would have just had just this and this, I like that you're using the shadows to bring us with, against the background, to just show how, give it some depth. And so it wouldn't be just so boring, it's nice. It's really beautiful. Now I have to say, Brian, the image is, I took it anyways. It's a little small because I do like larger images, so we could really get up close, but it was okay. I just wanted to share this with everybody. So when I'm thinking about what you want, which is the pollen sacs and the life, and that's, what I'm getting out of it. Of course, we want to have a beautiful composition and everything, but look, you could even see the pollen sacs over here. So, but as I get up close, you could see it looks a little blurred, but I'm sure his isn't. But see how it's falling? These pollen sacs are amazing. When I see those up close, especially these over here, I get so excited. I'm like, I had shot something through our membership program, and they know that I shared that with them, and how excited I get when I see things this close, to see the pollen sacs like that. So I'm going to go back to, one. And I want to just share this. So I wanted to give you 2 suggestions. So here's this one that you shot and then you cropped. So my suggestion would be is save some money, because I could tell that you like to get up close. So if you want this, this is something that Janice does. I like to push you guys out of comfort zone. So if I don't know, Brian, if you have anything that like tubes or a bellows or anything for your lens, you might want to think about that in the future. You don't have to go out and buy this stuff right now. The reason why is I don't know you enough to see if you really shoot a lot of this kind of stuff, but if you do like to get up that close, like how you've cropped, I think you would get even a sharper, you would have such a nice image, but there would be stacking involved, which is, because you're getting closer. So that's something for you to think about, not saying to go out and buy, but if you love to get up close like this, to extend your lens a little bit more would give you a really beautiful image. The next thing that I was thinking for you is that I think, now tell me if I'm right or wrong. So I'm going back to this. I'm just curious. I want to know, and I love it when you guys are here because I can ask you questions, which is really cool. So when you were processing this, I noticed that you had darkened this up, and I'm curious, did you do this because of the right side, or you just like that? So let's go back. See, I noticed that this area right here is light, and this area is a little darker. So my question to you is, did you darken this to match this, or is it just something that you like to do? And I'm going to look at the chat right now. Let me see. Your explanation of my process was right on. That's awesome. And then he says, not yet. So he probably doesn't have any bellows or anything like that, or extension tubes, which is, extension tubes are really cheap. But it is more work to photograph for sure. Okay, we are delayed. So Brian, if you let me know about that, I'm going to share with you what I feel, okay? You could take this or leave it. So what I like is to have it brighter because I want to see the pollen. I want to see these pollens, the little polyps. So what I did, I'm emulating right now bouncing light. So this is bouncing, I'm emulating bouncing light. Basically what I did was I just went into Lightroom and I pulled this over with a gradient, and I just brightened it up a little bit. And like I say, the reason why is because I want to see all of these goodies. It's so amazing to see life like this. And I just love it. I just want to soak that all up. And then, then what I would do is process it the way I would want, depending on how you would like to do your post-processing. What I'd like you to think about is to bounce a little bit more light. And then AD, can you go to me real quick? So what I was thinking when you bounce, because sometimes when I'm shooting, it's hard to actually, depending on, because if you're using natural light and the light's not coming towards, to bounce, you can use Reynolds rep, you can use whatever. I just grab these things. And so what you could do is bounce several or use a flashlight, but you could bounce it. Say the sun, let me see, woo, where am I? Say if the sun is coming here, but it's not actually hitting your subject, then position it with, say, maybe a flashlight or something to make it bounce and then move it. You could do something like that, because I know, because I used to shoot a lot with a glass table that we had, and sometimes it just doesn't work out depending on where the sun's at or the natural light's at. But if you use, say, 2 to bounce through, or a flashlight or continuous light, you could have Reynolds rep, whatever you could find around the house. You don't have to go and buy something. But look at how bright and you would be able to get it in the sections. This is what I like about Reynolds wrap. You can move things around. This is not Reynolds wrap, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. So I feel like that if you brighten that up a little bit, we could really see the polyps, you know, and then you could post-process, because this is what you're saying in your story. But I do love what you've done, and I love your ideas. Let me see it. Brian's chatting over here, so let me check it out. I normally shoot with the dark side. My was to emphasize the main anther. Oh, okay. The main anther, like right in here. Okay, well, I got it. Okay. So your anther, ooh, let's see. I had considered brightening the right side, but the 2 points of emphasis is tricky. It is. It is tricky, and it's really hard to definitely. But like I say too, if it's the anther, then maybe what I would have done is take this, what you've done here, and kind of emulate it over here. And if it's hard, I don't know if you do layers and masks, Brian, but you might be able to just take this area right in here and just give it a little bit more contrast and some details, you know, play with the sliders a little bit and make these pop like this. The reason why I know it's because of the light, I get that. It's just that I feel like what's happening is like this is all popping, and then this to me is just kind of fizzling off. But this and this is very sharp, you could see. I also did a little cropping. Let me show you that. So I also did a little cropping here. And because over here to the left and up here, it was pulling my eyes away from your beautiful anthers and polyps. And I just want to see a little bit more. So I cropped it a little bit, and so it's just like in your face. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm in Lightroom. I just want to, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, maybe 2 shots. You know what, have you ever merged anything, Brian? Because as I was playing with this, I could see that it was just going really dark. So what I was thinking, AD and now you were chatting, if you were to take this and it's on a tripod, I don't know if you're hand holding, because that could be a little harder, but if you were, oh, you were saying, so anyways, see if wow, your work is, Lightroom is popping. Yeah, I love to play with my sliders, but I was thinking, definitely, let me know this, Brian. Is it, this over here is kind of out of focus at the top, and to me, I'm wondering if you would like that more in focus, and then everything would pop with your story, because it's interesting to me that this is sharp and then it's not as sharp up here, and this is sharp over here. But it would be good if you were to play with these and say, grab this in focus and grab this over here in focus and put it together and post-processing. Yes, he uses a tripod, but do you actually use levels and, masking and all that kind of stuff? Have you ever done that? Because I would love for you to try that with, the next time you shoot, is add some areas that, that maybe you couldn't get this in focus, and just bring it in and shoot that and bring it back together. But anyways, I just think I love your shadows. I love what you've done. I love the close-ups. So I just would like to that's what the whole macro show is about, just to give you suggestions, try new things. And yeah, so I think that's pretty good. Unless there's anything else, then let me know, and we shall go to Catherine's. Let's get over here to her. She gave me a before and after. So here is her final shot. And Catherine says, I found some blue jay feathers in the yard. This is a stacked image using the camera focus bracketing of my Olympus camera. She used an f8 at 8 seconds. ISO is 400. There were 30 images and I merged them in Zarine Stacker. I edited the image in Topaz Studio, Topaz Lens Effects, and even Nik Color Effects Pro. I was trying to soften the image because it was so sharp. The feathers had so many dust spots. I got rid of some. I even tried using dust and scratches in Photoshop to diminish the spots. I'm sending the before and after photos. Hope I sized them right. She says, I'm happy with the result, but want to hear your comments. I'm afraid I will not be able to listen live. Thanks, Catherine. So the reason why I went ahead and did this is Catherine is saying that she likes her image. She's telling me what she's doing. And I do know, Catherine, that's why, Brian, the more you put stuff in, the more, I'm going to read your comment in a second, Brian. I'm seeing that you've made some comments over here, which is awesome. Or not comments, chats. We got to say chats here. But I know the more I know you guys, the more I really do know what your goals are and what you're up to. So what Catherine has been doing is she has been working really hard on stacking her images. And she got a new camera, which is the Olympus. And she said it was taking her a while to get used to it. So she's been working really hard to learn her Olympus. And I'm very proud of her because she gets determined. That girl, man, she gets determined and she just focuses and she works really, really hard and just goes for it. So anyways, very cool that you've stacked 30 images. You go, girl. With Zarine Stacker. I love Zarine. It's a lot of fun. So you asked me, you say you like it and you want to hear my comments. So I'm going to tell you my comments. You asked for it, Catherine. I'm going to tell you. So I noticed, let me show you guys. Okay, so here's her image. Look at how cool it is, right? So let me show you her image that I first saw. Okay, so this is the image that I saw from the beginning when I opened her email. And when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, this is absolutely gorgeous. And it's not even, it's the raw file. It's the Zarine file. This is straight from camera. So I saw the colors, I saw the pop. I was like, whoa, that's really, really pretty. So you went to black and white and you softened it because you didn't want, because there was problems you were saying. So this is what I feel. I love black and white. So that's great. I mean, I love black and white, but I do want to point out a couple things with the black and white compared to the color. So the color, I understand, and unfortunately the file is very small, but she was saying how it's a mess and stuff. And it's, to me, it's part of the feathers. Maybe I would have dusted it off with an air can a little bit. You can try to do that gently, away from it and blow. Then maybe it would get rid of the dust. But in post, I could see that it would be a pain. But see, she's even got feathers in here. I mean, the details, I love it. So let me go over here to the black and white and see what's happened. I mean, for me, we're doing macro. She's done so much work and then she's blurred it. So I personally, I want to see the details. I love that. Here's the details. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I also love the color. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. What a beautiful color for a feather. So I probably would just get rid of the big parts maybe, but I would just leave it. For me, I would just take some of these and just leave the rest. I'll clean it up a little bit. the main thing that I would do is see where it's breaking up here at the top left. I know it's minute, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just clone it out real quick. Let's see if I could do it here with the clone tool, and boom. So I think, let me see. There's before and there's afterwards. So the reason why I like that is because off to the right it's flowing and you have a pattern, and off to the left you have a pattern. It's part of the beautiful feathers. So this little thing right here is maybe small, but if you notice, it does break the pattern. So I would for sure get rid of that. Now, you could, now I did play with this real briefly, and let me see if this one shows it. Okay, so this is something, Catherine, I'm not sure if you are used to playing with channel mask. Now, you know, Catherine, that I use Lumencia, and that's a channel mask program. It's very cheap, and the man who developed it is super, super cool. Really like him a lot. So anyways, but you can use a channel mask, and what you could do is you can hone in and take the color in here, it goes by brights to darks, and you can click on it and make a mask from the area that you want to mask, and you can always reverse your mask. So I did that here, and you can kind of see, let's see if you could see the difference. It's not that much of a difference, but here's the before and here's the afterwards. If you were like so flustered about having the dust on it, but I think it looks great. I just love it. Even the black and white looks beautiful. One of the things that I noticed in the black and white, and I'm just being anal here, Catherine, but most people won't, because we're photographers and we are really critical compared to other people that don't, to be like, I'll just hang this up. This is beautiful. So you could see that right in here. You could see the background. It also, you know, black and white is about textures and lines, and you know, so I do feel like this all here has a flow, and I feel like it stops a little bit over here because of the background behind it. So look, everyone, see this? Now look at the blue. Boom. I love it. So I don't know. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful flower. Okay, so I think that's it. Let's go ahead and go to me, and then I'll answer some questions, AD. Let's do that. And Catherine, if you know that if you have any questions, just do it down below the YouTube channel, because you know that it's a great place. I'm always checking if anybody has comments. So Brian says, a suggestion: if you increase the size of your cursor, it would be easier to follow it. Oh, I didn't even think about it. Can you do that? I didn't even know. Oh, we could do that. AJ said we could do that. Okay, I love it. Well, we'll do that for sure. That's a great suggestion. Thanks, Brian. Love it. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, because I am moving it around a lot, huh? And then let me see. Oh, Brian said earlier, I'm missing it. In your earlier segment about cameras and lenses, part of the equation might be what lens works best with the camera. Research showed me that the Tamron was good as it gets with my camera. Oh, well, that's interesting. The articles, I'm going to put the articles down below the show so you guys could check it out, and you'll be able to read all the articles. But yeah, that's something interesting. I have to say though that AD is really good when it comes to the equipment. I have to say that a lot of my equipment, I'm a Canon girl, and I go pretty much Canon most of the time. So that's something that, you know, that I do. And then I use Speedotron and Studio. I mean, there's certain things that you get kind of hooked to, and that's what I do. But I do like to read up on things, and it's interesting. But for me to do hands-on with other stuff, I don't. Let's see. I love, Brian, that you're chatting it up. Janice, wait, no, Brandon, I think you remind Janice. I think I have an appointment highlight for her cursor. Woohoo! So AD says that he thinks he might have a highlight cursor for my cursor, so it'll be even better for the next show. Oh, well, the next show we're actually having a guest, but it'll be 2 shows from now. We'll be able to play with that. That'll be a lot of fun. So, oh, you know what we're going to do now? Oh, we got to hurry. Oh, crap. I get so involved with you guys' critiques, and I'm looking at the time. Let's go ahead and share the refraction video real quick, AD, and then we'll get into the equipment.
Here's what we were working on. Put this on the back. This right here, I put this Tupperware on a chair that I have because I know that I've played with it and I know that the water drops here, this is a good place to refract the background here, which reverses everything, remember. I'm going to go ahead and start adding the glycerin here. Here's the glycerin. And I'm going to take it. Oh, I don't want the needle. I had the needle on last time. Let me take this needle off. Make sure you make them go apart from each other because they get bigger. It's cool when you put these down initially because you can already see the refraction happening. I was thinking about making a heart. I think I'm just going to place them all over the place just to be random. But you could be creative and try different ways. I left too much of a gap here, but when you put drops in very close, make it really small because once they start merging, it looks horrible. I'm putting more than I need because I might want to try a different composition. Now I'll go ahead and set up the camera and start shooting. Hi Macro Chatters, so that was from a little snippet from the membership program. Here is a couple stills. Here's one just showing from the video. I did some snapshots on my iPhone. That's why the video looked kind of funky. So I thought, well, let me show you some stills. Here is one with a flower. You could see that at the top there's a little bit of white, reflection. I cleaned it up. This is fabric. And I didn't iron the fabric, and you can see the refraction of the wrinkled fabric, and it just turned out as a fail. So I wanted to share that with you too as a tip. The next image here is actually my favorite. I ended up putting an extension tube onto my 100mm macro lens, and I did about 17 stacks to get this in focus. In the equipment section, I'll share some of the goodies that I used to grab this shot.
So that is something that I did with the membership program. So a lot of times I'll just go on live and just do a video real quick, or we go in the Facebook and I'll just hand hold and check it out. But one of the things we did was refraction, and that's a little small tidbit of an hour of something of what we do in the membership program. And I thought about that because we're in the winter months, and sometimes you guys might want to do something within the home. So let's head on to the equipment section, and I'm going to show you some good tips. Okay, I'm moving everything around. I can hear it through my mic. So here is just a glass that I used. This is actually from a frame. So if you have a frame around, then just use something like this. You can see my notes. And then I taped it with, because we're macro, so we don't need anything really huge. And I just taped it with paint tape. And voila, I've got a glass. So you can, really easy. Then if you want papers, I just went to my local, like it's Michael's and stuff like that. And let me share with you this. So here's like a bunch of paper. See all the different stuff. So I do want to let you know, though, that when you have stuff that's really small, let me see if you could see this, that the refractions on those don't really work as well, to tell you the truth. Things like this or bigger, that works really good. It just becomes a mush, to tell you the truth. Flowers are good. This kind of becomes a mush, to tell you the truth. You really need some prominent things, but it's a lot of fun, and a lot of people use water drops, but I found just by researching that glycerin works really, really good. Rain-X. So my husband used the rest of the Rain-X. I was going to show you our Rain-X. So I sprayed the glass with Rain-X, and then then I use this glycerin. Oh, let me see. See the glycerin? And it has to be 100% pure vegetable glycerin to make it really clear. And you need to move fast, because if it just sits, it could blob up. So the first image had a little bit of blobbing and not perfectly circled, but I thought it was kind of cool because it was Hawaiian, so I liked it. And then when I do it, I wash the glass with warm soap and water, and then afterwards I get my Windex, and then I wipe it down to clean it up. And it's really easy. Like my godmother's a nurse, so I get needles, but you could use like the baby, where the baby stuff where, they have to take medicine, but depending on the size, this size is really nice, is what I used. See? And, I just place it around, and it works out awesome. Now, another pointer is if you get frustrated with the glycerin, a lot of times, depending on where you're at. So I had an extension tube to do the third one, and I loved it because I got close, but I had to stack the image, and I took the glycerin drop from that was closest to the lens, and then I stacked it to the glass. I didn't go any farther, obviously, because you don't want that refraction. You don't want everything underneath. You want it blurry. So start from the tip of the glycerin, and then slowly stack your images and merge them into Xerine or Photoshop or Helicon Focus. And so it's a lot of fun to do, especially when you're stuck. And I heard AD told me you guys are going to get blasted over there on the East Coast. So here you go. We have something to do. So I just wanted to share you with that, give you guys some tips to do something indoors. It's so much fun to refract. It's a really fun time to really see that stuff. And yeah, I love to do that with the members, is just like surprise them. It's, guess what, I'm here. So that's why it was kind of like a funky video. So let me see if there's any other good chatting before we say goodbye. Would cooking oil work? I don't think so, because the cooking oil, it has to be really see-through and like have no, like yellow. It has to be very, very clear. That's why this 100% glycerin, I mean, it's just so, it's so clear and clean, because you want it clean. See how clean it is? It almost looks like water. That's why a lot of times you think that are water drops. People say water drops, and then when you really talk to the photographers, not all of them, but most of them will say, yeah, the glycerin, like those little drops. Of course, if you're spraying, then, use water drops you can use water drop with Rain-X. I'm telling you, Rain-X really makes some awesome water drops. So that's a lot of fun too. But if you want to get really detailed, that's something good. I don't know. I don't think cooking oil would work, but hey, try it, Brian, and let me know. Jan, glycerin is good for soap bubbles photography too. Oh, really? That I have to try that. That's something cool. I've never done the soap bubbles with glycerin. Let's see. And Brian says, which focus rail would you recommend? My focus rail. Oh my gosh, what's the brand of it? I've shared it on the show so many times. You know what I'll do, Brian? I will put it in my community area, because when we do the notes to this show, it takes a couple days. So I don't always get the links up. But what I'll do right now, when I get off, I will share in the community on the YouTube channel. As soon as the show's over, I promise I will go ahead and put that link on my rail. You know, you could, rails are rails. And, you know, I don't know if there's a place where you could rent anything. I just purchased mine because I love my brand. So I will share that with you. I don't know, have it on the top of my head because I'm really bad with memory. But I promise I'll show it with you. Let's see. Oops. Yes, get to know me video. Let's do it.
To get to know me better, go to sullivanjphotography.com. And while you're at it, scroll down and click on the Grab Freebies and 14 days free for our membership. You'll get insider info from me, challenges, and receive tips on my latest work. Go ahead and sign your name and your email, and I'll see you inside. Cheers!
All right, you guys, it was so nice to chat with you. We made it to an hour. This is awesome. If you like the show, give it a thumbs up, guys, and share it with everyone. Let's get some more macro chatters coming on. It was so much fun to chat with you. I really do appreciate it. I had a great time. And remember, we will be here in 2 weeks, January 31st, and we will have Jackie Kramer. Oh my gosh, I will share her link of her work down below, because you've got to check out her work. If you guys, now Becky, if you have questions for Jackie, then let us know, because I know that you're heading out and going to where I want to go. So she's going to be going to Iceland. I'm so jealous. But, you know, let us know if you have any questions for her, and I will ask them and then when you can come back and watch the replay. So we will be back on the 31st. And I do want to say that, remember, 1,000 words does make a difference. You guys have a good day, evening, morning, wherever you're at. Have a good one. Cheers.